And so I'm just going to go briskly through the card. I put a couple of separate videos out there for fight of the night, performance of the night in the main card, the main event. But I'll just brush through the rest of the card there very quickly. So like I say, this was a BKFC out of Newcastle, June the 8th there. And kicking off the card, we had Sanson against Waltrin. Very evenly matched introduction into the night there. Waltrin, he looked really nervous coming into this. I thought he managed to keep his nerves under control very, very well there. Both of them took until about the third, until they started to loosen up. You noticed they were both very nervous at the start of this for the first couple of rounds, and Sanson put Waltrin down in the second, and I think that was probably the big difference that called this in his favor after 5 there, because they were really, really closely matched. Like I say, after third, they started to loosen up. They started to look like they were starting to enjoy it in there, which was great to see. But very closely matched, and Sanson walked away with that win. Next on up the card, we go to Rochester against Beis. This is at welterweight 165. And this, I've made a separate video for this because for me, this was fight of the night. It was an absolute war, truly brutal. So I'll put a card up at the end of this video so you can see that review. But I do, advise going, if you haven't seen it already, go over the BKFC app and have a look at the full event, the full fight, sorry. And it was great. Like I say in my review, it was a promotion's dream fight. If you're looking to bring eyes to the sport, this is the kind of fight that you will direct people to. Beamish got these hand raised after 5, deservedly so, I thought, but it was very, very close. Next up, we go to Slater against Cunningham. Gary Slater on his debut there. This is in heavyweight, and we all know Rob Cunningham, been on the BKFC a few times now. And Cunningham, he made it easy for Slater. As soon as the bell went and straight off the toe line, it was a really weird start from Cunningham. He just kind of edged forward, very upright, straight into Slater. And yeah, like I say, he made it very easy for Slater. This one didn't get out the first. Robbie's going to, commit himself to his MMA career now and give BKFC, put it either on the back burner or just put it in his past. But great debut for Gary Slater. Moving on, we go to Bantamweight. Great addition to the Bantamweight division. This division really needs to be opened up this side of the Atlantic, so really good to see these coming in. We have seen Bradley Taylor out before. We saw him on the last Prospect Series in Liverpool, where he took on Harry Kane. I remember reviewing that event. I was very impressed. He walked away with the win on that occasion. On this occasion, Mohammed, he got caught cold straight off the toe line. He wasn't unable to recover at all, and he was getting flung around a lot throughout the first. I think Taylor was a little bit frustrated. He probably wanted to display a little bit more. But yeah, Mohammed, he was caught cold. There was nothing he was going to be able to do about that. And the win went to Bradley Taylor. Up next, we had Stevie Taylor against Kazis. Now, for me, this was quite brutal. Kazis showing absolutely no respect whatsoever for the length disadvantage. I think he had about a 10 or 11 inch disadvantage over Taylor there. And straight off the first, you could see he was going to show no respect for that. And he caught Taylor, and how Taylor didn't go down, I have absolutely no idea. And then going on from that, you would have imagined that Taylor was going to keep Kazis out there, maybe at the end of his jab, out of range, but he wasn't doing that. He was allowing Kazis in, and he was doing most of his damage with his backhand there. And he did a lot of damage at the end of the third, towards the end of the third. I think the clapper went for the end of the third, didn't it? And then Alan Jackson put a timeout on the round and put Suzuki over with the physician on the steals there, and the physician called it off there. So a great win for Steve. And moving on to featherweight with Cameron Hardy and Brian Creighton. This was a good matchup. Brian Creighton, he got the opportunity here to show just how much resilience and heart he has. He really does. He couldn't quite find a way through Cameron Hardy, who was looking really good in there, wasn't he? Very slick. A really great performance. What went through into 5 there. Creighton was put down several times over the fight there, and he didn't quite make it to the final bell in the 5th there, which was unfortunate. I thought he deserved to make it through 5, but the win went to Cameron Hardy there, and a great display on his debut on the BKFC. Moving on to Bartek Conobay against Jack Culshaw. Now, Conobay, we know he's been very active on BKFC of recent, hasn't he? Up against the debut of Jack Culshaw here. And I didn't expect this from Jack Culshaw. I've always said, composure kills crazy. And on this occasion, that wasn't the case. I think the commentary on watching this back, they said you have volume and relentlessness, and then you have Jack Culshaw. And I was just so impressed. I was watching it. I thought there is no way he can continue with this. He can't keep this amount of volume up. And how much could Conobay take? But he did. He kept it up right through 3 rounds there until Conobay was unable to continue with a corner stoppage there. And I was surprised that Conobay weathered it as long as he had. It really was an impressive display from Jack Culshaw. He didn't leave Conobay anywhere to go. Looking forward to see what Jack Culshaw can do in the division. Fantastic debut win. Next up, Ferguson against Moya. This one, this one probably more for your bare knuckle purists. Really good fight, really solid, clean fight. We always get a great fight when we're with John Ferguson and Moya. Really good display. This could have gone either way, in my opinion. But yeah, this was a really good matchup as well. Probably one of the better matchups on the card. Really clean, really close. Both highly skilled fighters. This one went in the favor of Danny Moya. And so we go to middleweight. This is 175. The first time we're going to see Danny Christie at 175. So there's a lot of anticipation at this. Is he going to carry his power down? You would expect his durability levels will go up, going down the weights in that. So 2 of his strongest attributes, going to play a big part in this. And you would imagine they will carry him well through the 175 division there. A little bit of drama before this went down. Going into it, I saw something land on social media in the Saturday afternoon, and it was Miller putting out a video that his cornermen were being denied access to cornering him on the day of the fight at the request of other fighters, which just was not the case. Miller had nominated cornermen, 2 names, well in advance of the event. And then he rocks up with this guy that he'd been told was not allowed at the event on the Saturday and putting out non-truths over social media. And I just can't understand why you would do that to yourself, why you would put that drama in your head on the day of supposedly one of the biggest fights of your life, against a promotion which you're hoping to work with in the future. It just seemed a little bit bizarre to me, a bizarre thing to do. It doesn't mean anything, but it was just, I'm still seeing, things on social media about an unfair advantage, and it just wasn't the case. It's not how it goes down, not how it went down. And anyway, leaving that there, it's not important now. But how did the fight go down? Well, I was anticipating a very different fight to what we got. After seeing the way Miller fought against Kyle Cassidy on his debut, which was a memorable fight, it was a really good fight, a real brutal exchange between the two. I was anticipating this is what we were going to get in this fight with Christie, and it just wasn't the case. And I think the reason for that was that Christie put a power statement on Miller through the first there, and therefore after that, any ambition Miller had of just having that trade-off that we were looking forward to with Christie went out of the window. And therefore, for the rest of the fight, it was a little bit out of range. They were off balance a lot. And there was a little bit of smothering going on there. It was an exhausting style of fighting. It really was. They were out of range. They were off balance. They were falling into each other and hanging off each other. And it was it was a good fight, much better fight watching it back than it was live. I think I was a little bit disappointed on the Saturday that it wasn't the fight. It didn't go down exactly how I'd wanted. But yeah, it was still a good fight nonetheless. And if the judges were having the same problem I was in scoring it, because it was so difficult, just with the way it was going down, it was so difficult to score. Other aspects of the fight were going to come into play on the scoring there, and without a doubt, Christie was the aggressor. But it was, Miller was doing what he had to do to, I don't want to say to survive in there, but you feel that if he was going to fight a different fight from that, then it would have been a different story. He had to fight that fight in order to get through those 5 rounds. So, yeah, good efforts from both lads. Good to see Christie down at 175. Looking forward to seeing where he goes from here. Craw against Jardine. Now, I've also put a separate video out on this one. Craw, excellent fighter. He's very, very short going into this one. Jardine, his debut on the BKFC. For me, this was performance of the night, performance of the event. Jardine, I thought he was fantastic. Really, really good. Both fighters were good. Jardine came out on top, and you can go and have a look at my full review of that in the separate video. I'll put a link up to that at the end of this video. But really worth going and watching the full fight over on the BKFC app if you've got it, or I'm sure it's probably kicking around YouTube somewhere as well. And on to the main event, Tabakov against Venice. This is Stanley Tabakov, his second outing. He took his win on his debut over the Bulgaria card against Paul Venice, much anticipated debut here on the BKFC, and he did a good job. He did what he needed to do, managed to slow Tabakov's manic action down, and walk away with the win on that in the third. So I thought it was a very, very good debut for Paul Venice. And that's your full BKFC card. Like I said, I'll put a couple of links up to my reviews for the fights that I covered separately. Probably seeing them on your screen around about now. And on we go to the next one. Do remember to like and subscribe and share. And I'll catch you all on the next one.